Hello, everybody. Animation Trainer here, and welcome back to Versus. So, this is the first episode of Versus. Well, season 2, that is. And today, we're doing Kung Fu Panda 2 versus How to Train Your Dragon 2. Two very popular DreamWorks sequels. And I definitely do really like both of these movies. They're both sequels to to some of my favorite movies. But which happens to be better? We're gonna find out now. And if you haven't seen my update blog, then let me just say right now that I've changed from my categories. Like, I no longer have humor as a category. I talk about that with the story, and now one of my categories is nostalgia slash my own experiences. So, my categories are story, animation slash graphics, if it's live action, also the score, the characters, and then my nostalgia slash own experiences. So, let's begin with the stories. Both stories are definitely very engaging. Like, Kung Fu Panda 2 is more of the humorous one. Like, it feels more of a comedy. While How to Train Your Dragon 2 is more of an action movie that's a lot darker than, well, both are action movies, but How to Train Your Dragon feels a lot darker than Kung Fu Panda 2. And so both are very emotional with their scenes, which I will not spoil because well, you shouldn't be watching this versus if you haven't seen either of the films, but I'm still not gonna spoil anything though, but both films are definitely very emotional. As for humor, Kung Fu Panda 2 brings out most of the humor. And How to Train Your Dragon 2 just has a little bit of jokes that make you laugh. But as for the movie, I just overall am more engaged into, I probably would have to say Kung Fu Panda 2. I mean, the story is very well executed with Poe's backstory with how he wasn't actually raised by Ping, and with 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 Hiccup's story with his mother, we kind of already know what it is, and with Poe, we don't know what it is. And plus, How to Train Your Dragon 2 has done a lot of moment does have a lot of scenes in that movie that I didn't really like. Even though Kung Fu Panda 2 is a little unoriginal with their scenes. So, first point goes to Kung Fu Panda 2. Now, let's move on to the animation. Both films are definitely gorgeous with their animation. Like, Kung Fu Panda 2 has a lot of great action scenes. Like, there's a scene where they're all running down a building, and there's also a scene where they're fighting up in like a mountain, which everything looks very spectacular. And the scene when they're in the dragon, and I really like the final scene with Poe against Shen when Poe was grabbing the fireballs and throwing them. As for How to Train Your Dragon 2, Dragon 2 definitely does an excellent job at showcasing how good the animation is. It shows how they have improved since the first film, and they made everything much greater. And How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, was already great in terms of animation. Like, there's scenes where Hiccup is flying with Toothless, and there's a bunch of scenes where Toothless is shooting his fireballs, and the world feels bigger in How to Train Your Dragon 2. Like, you could see that there's more places out there rather than just the islands. And the action scenes, like Toothless versus the Alpha, that was a very nicely done action scene. So I gotta give the point to How to Train Your Dragon 2 for that. Next up, I'm gonna be talking about the music. Now, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the only one that exactly has its own song, but both films definitely do have really good music. Like, like Kung Fu Panda 2's soundtrack definitely puts you into the environment. Like, they use a lot of Chinese music, and it definitely makes the atmosphere feel great. And then How to Train Your Dragon 2 still does have a really good soundtrack, like in the action scenes and stuff. And like I said, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the only one with its own like song, like kind of song, but it's still work. Like the song that they use really does work. They use "We Go Where No One Goes" and the opening scene with Hiccup riding on the Toothless while putting that song definitely does work with the movie, and I really do like that scene. And while Kung Fu Panda 2 does still have a great soundtrack, it just wasn't as memorable as this scene. And the music that they use for that. And I'm not saying that Kung Fu Panda 2 isn't bad. It's just not like really great. So I gotta give the point to Dragon 2. Ooh, looks like Kung Fu Panda 2 is kind of slipping. But still, Dragon 2 is still a really good movie, and I don't know why I'm going off topic. But next up, we're going into the characters. All the characters in both films definitely are really great. However, yeah, I have to give it a Kung Fu Panda 2. And I know what you guys are saying. Really? You're not even gonna talk? Fine, I'll talk. The characters in Kung Fu Panda 2 are just way more memorable. And with Dragon 2, while I will say that some of the other characters are memorable, like the ones from the first movie, they just don't have that same charm as the Furious 5. Plus, there's something done with the characters in Dragon 2 which I was just very annoyed by. And I'm sure you guys will know the spoiler if you've seen the movie, but I did not like what they did with that at all. So that's why I'm giving Kung Fu Panda 2 the point. And finally, nostalgia / my own experiences. And just so you know, I'm 100% biased. Got it? Well, the entire thing is biased, in my opinion, but yeah. So I remember when I've seen both of these films in theaters. I believe I've seen Kung Fu Panda 2 in 3D in cinemas, and I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2 in like a drive-in theater. And I did like both experiences a lot. Like when I saw Kung Fu Panda 2, the original Kung Fu Panda was still my favorite movie. And I was just excited to watch the movie. And I was just like amazed by all the trailers for the movie. Like I was just waiting for the movie. Like I'd see the trailers a lot for the film, but then I realized there's still 2 months away for the movie. Then for How to Train Your Dragon 2, to be honest, when I first saw the trailers for the film, I only saw How to Train Your Dragon once. And well, that one time that I saw it, I didn't really like think a lot about the film. Like I thought it was okay. Hey. But then before Dragon 2 came out, I wanted to see How to Train Your Dragon before so that cuz I still wanted to watch Dragon 2 cuz people say it's one of the best movies of all time. Well, animated films of all time. So, I decided to watch it and I thought it was really good. Yeah. And then I went ahead and I saw Dragon 2. And I thought it was great, but not like the best thing ever. Yeah. And overall, to be honest, I just gotta give it a Kung Fu Panda 2. I mean, I would watch the first Kung Fu Panda all the time, and it was just like a really great experience seeing Kung Fu Panda in the cinemas again. Like, even when I saw Kung Fu Panda 3 in cinemas in January, I was just really amazed. It's because of how much nostalgia level came in. So, Kung Fu Panda 2 gets the final point. And overall, I prefer Kung Fu Panda 2. Dragon 2 is still a really great film, but it just isn't as good as Kung Fu Panda 2. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon 2 still like flops with not having like the greatest side characters, and another thing I would have to say about Dragon 2 is that there's that one spoiler, and every time I watch it, it just annoys me. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Kung Fu Panda 2 isn't a perfect movie ever. In fact, I don't even think it's the best Kung Fu Panda movie. In fact, I'd say it's the worst, which I'll explain in a review I'll make in the future. But yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And don't forget to look at the hint, which the hint for the next episode is 2 sucky sequels. And I'm not going to tell you what they are. So, alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. So, goodbye.